back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I am joined by one of the best in the business, Veronica Solomon. Veronica was on the show way back in the podcast first year, episode 50, and it has been my treat and my joy to watch her grow her business with intentionality throughout the years. When we talk about growing your business, quote unquote, often it means growing your team, getting bigger. These can be true, but it doesn't always mean that. And for some, solopreneurship is the way to go. Growing means being ever profitable, being successful on your own terms. And Veronica proves this point with her business. Veronica Solomon is the founder, CEO, and creative director of Casa Vilora Interiors, a luxury design firm in Katy, Texas. In 2022, she was nominated for HGTV's Designer of the Year. In addition to this, her work has been featured in the New York Times, Architectural Digest, and more. Veronica's journey has had its ups and downs, but according to her, this has only strengthened her resolve and sustained her passion for learning, growing, and now mentoring others in the business of interior design. Veronica has many superpowers, and one of them is self-awareness. She knows who she is, and trust me, there is no other version of Miss V. This revelation can be impactful in many ways, and Veronica is here today to help us understand why knowing yourself and working from a place of conviction matters in your business and to your success. I'm delighted to reintroduce you to Veronica Solomon. Hey, Veronica, thanks so much for coming back on A Well-Designed Business with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know, you're ridiculous, LuAnn, right now. That's what, I just heard you're like, okay. I am super happy to have you here, V, because I met you in the first year of the podcast and we just celebrated 7 years. Okay.
Yay. Congrats.
Oh my goodness. And B, I remember, I don't know that I ever told you this story, but I remember how I came to interview the first time. And what happened was in the beginning, I was doing everything, cook, chief, bottle washer, and full-time at WindowWorks. And it was constantly, and in the beginning, I launched with 3 episodes a week, right? And so I remember one day I sat down and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have a podcast for next week. I'm like, holy crow. I'm like, like this. And the thing was, I didn't know you then. And so I was in a designer Facebook group. I'm not even sure if it was yours. It couldn't have been yours. I would have known you. And no. I said, hey guys, anybody have a great recommendation for somebody who wants to be on the podcast? And multiple people said Veronica Solomon. And I was like, you got to pay attention when multiple people say that. And I reached out to you. I looked at your website. I reached out to you and you were like, sure, I'll do it. And I remember talking to you and thinking, oh my goodness, this woman runs a heck of a business. And so, of course, since then, we've seen each other many times and we've become friends. And of course, watching what you've done with your business has been incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
And you do remember your kids one time when I said happy birthday to your son on the show?
I know. I used to listen to you religiously in the car, and my son, he knew you by name, he knew your voice. And so he was just listening for that. And that was, it made his day. I can tell you that.
Oh my God. You messaged me or something and you're like, it's his birthday, it's such and such date. If you would say something, he would be totally happy. Kathy? I was like, sure.
Well, he's
So
21 now,
I
so
know. And I've met
well,
your daughter in person in real life. She's grown woman, beautiful too. The both of them
yes.
turned out to be amazing kids. And I
Yeah.
just thinking, wait, they were like 6, 7, 8. I feel like they were that little, but obviously if it's 7 years, they were probably what, 12, 13,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we go back. We go back a minute, and I've enjoyed all my time with you. And anytime that you are teaching in your Facebook group, I, I got to tell you, V, there's not a lot of people that I'm like, yep, I agree. Yep, I agree. Yep, I agree. Usually I'm like, well, I don't know that I'd say that, but I'll keep my mouth shut, right? But you say it like it is, and you really ask of yourself high standards, and you ask the same of your community. And that's one of the things that I truly admire about you, that you are always able to uplift somebody, a designer, support them, meet them where they are, but not like let them off the hook with the part of the work that's theirs to do. And I just identify that with that so much.
Yeah, I think I may have learned a little bit of that from you too over the years, because I've seen the way you conduct yourself on these interviews as well too. So, and it's something that I think is I was born with as well. So you're right. I try
Mhm.
to be very intentional about how I relate to people. So, they say that you how does it go with the honey and the flies or whatever?
Yes,
That
yes.
saying. So I think that's how I try to approach every situation. And I bring that to my business as well too, not just with the way I relate to other designers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the other thing that I really want to also just commend you about is the number of interior designers that have come to me and shared that they've worked with you in one way or another, whether it be mentorship, actual one on one coaching, actually, obviously, through the Facebook group, or through purchasing the different things that you offer interior designers, for them to, I guess, to buy and do on their own or whatever it is. But
Mhm.
I've never, ever had anybody be middle of the road about their experience with you.
Oh,
That's
that's
pretty
great
big.
to hear. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. Uh-huh.
That's pretty big, because you've interacted with a lot of people,
Mhm,
V, and the knowing that you're really, what I'm saying is you're showing up as your true self and giving the value. You walk the walk and you talk the talk, and you share and you teach. And I what it is I know that there's no such thing as competition, that
mhm.
you are who you are and your client wants you, and you can have the designer next to you can have your same process, your same contract, and you're just not the same people. And a lot of people get that, but not everybody does. And I
Mhm.
feel like you get that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
And I had to from the beginning in my own business, because when I started, I knew right away that I kind of wanted to be, build this by myself and really see where I can take it. And competition for me was not something that I had the time to even think about, because that
I
would
love
take away so much energy from me. And
that.
so I know it's not maybe the best business idea to not pay attention to competition, but I just knew what I could take on. And so I just never really focused on that. And so I feel like there's something for everybody out there. And so I let others get what they need to have, and I get what I need to have as well.
I know. And it shows. It shows in everything you do. And the other thing that I've noticed about you over these last 7 years, you've actually expressed it often, in one way, whether it's print or in conversation or panel discussions, whatever it is. But you mentioned it just a tiny bit in there. You've never, ever desired to have, well, I shouldn't say never, ever, but from the time I know you, you've always been very clear. I'm not interested in employing 15 people. Like, you like your life the way it is, and you manage big projects, many of them, and lots of balls in the air, but you have maintained a small team. And I want you to talk to us about that and why that's a truth for you and why you wanted to. But I want you to know, and you probably have heard it before, sometimes others like you that have that desire sometimes think there's a pressure on them to go from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10, or you're not being successful. But that's not true at all, is it?
No, not at all. I felt that pressure too. So, being a part of Facebook groups, and over time, I'd see people, other designers post about their large team, and a part of me would be like, "Oh my goodness, I'm doing something wrong. Where's my
Mm.
team?" And I tried to hire over the years as well, but I honestly, I know it sounds almost wrong to say it, but I just don't thrive in an environment where I have to be a part of a big team. I just never
Mm.
did. I'm an introvert naturally, and so I kind of tend to not bring it when I'm in a team environment. I usually let other people outshine me, if that makes sense. And so,
Mm.
in a team environment, I'm not typically my best self, I guess. And so when I decided to do this quite a bit on my own, I was very aware of what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, very self-aware. I understood how to like really relate to people. I knew I had to understand people's personalities, and I knew I had to build a solid foundation, so I could manage my time a little bit better. So when I say a solid foundation, was my website, for example. I had to set it up in a way where it did not require too much of my time. It was managing itself over here and managing my client intake while I could focus my energy on other things. So I had to be very, very intentional about how I was running my business in order to do it solo for a very, very long time. I had to bring in, I did have a team of people that, assist me in the background, for example, my tradespeople and the vendors that I worked with. And I had to like really build those relationships and remain loyal so that they would be happy to do the things for me that I couldn't do for myself. So
Mm.
it was just a lot of intentionality and just understanding myself, where to the point where I know, okay, that's not the type of project that I want to get involved in, so I'm going to pass on that. These are the types of projects I need to pursue. I need to develop my signature style so that I don't have somebody who wants farmhouse coming to knock on my door. It's going to be the people who can, who will appreciate the type of design work that I do. So in every aspect, from the financial piece to the creative side to how I related to my clients, everything had to be super intentional and in a way where I was managing my my time so I could get everything that needed to be done.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, as I love that it like you said, it comes from having self-awareness, and so even when you said the line, I'm an introvert, so being surrounded and being within a team, I'm not gonna be my best self. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna speak up and do whatever, blah, 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 and it's funny because it made me picture different dynamics where I've been in a team environment, whatever, even if it's a group conversation, and the introvert really, like, the line in my head is that she doesn't need everybody to hear her idea. That she could have the best idea in the room, but she's not compelled to share it. And what I love is your self-awareness of that, because as the CEO, you kind of have to do that.
Pretty much, right?
Right? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and, like, let other people make my decisions, so and I just love you literally just remove yourself from that, uncomfortable place.
Hmm.
That's, like, so literally logical is
Hmm.
what it is. It's almost so logical you could go by it and not really do it, right?
Yeah, you're
You could
right.
fight it. If you are less self-aware, you could fight it and feel like walking around your own office, stomping your feet, going, why is nobody know what I want them to do? And it's like, oh, because I don't open my mouth and tell everybody what to do, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Or I can't be bothered, right? Because that's what, like, my one daughter, she's so funny. She's got very both tendencies for introvert and extrovert. So a lot of people, I guess, are a combination. And depending on the situation, that's exactly what it is. She's just like, you know what? I don't need to tell everybody what I think right now. She's like, go ahead, figure it all out. And so when I really want to know what what she's thinking, I have to like wait for the moment in the conversation and just say, hey, Christy, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
But then you have to not talk right away because she's going to take a second to gather her thoughts, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So interesting, interesting. I love that you figured that out about yourself.
yeah, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that level of what you see happening in your Facebook group and you remember experiencing yourself with the pressure. Is there something there that you'd love to just is there something there you could say to help somebody that is feeling the pressure? How do they get to what they really want and then just like put the goggles on, not the goggles, the blinders on, right?
Right. Yeah. It really is just be who you are, who you're meant to be.
Mm,
If you come from a place of understanding that, because I grew up in Jamaica, there wasn't a
mm.
lot of opportunities to be an interior designer in Jamaica. And so when I came here and I discovered what interior design was, and I decided, oh my gosh, I'm going to pursue that, I knew that, the odds were kind of against me a little bit. So I had to really step into this role and realize that it's not just an accident why I'm doing this. There's some strong meaning behind it. It's something that I was predestined to do in my mind. And so
Mm,
I had to make sure that I'm showing up as my true self and not compromise too much. And so I have a strong sense of self when it comes to, how I want to run my business and, the people that I want to be surrounded by and all that. So I'd say to anybody who kind of feels the same way that I do, where they don't necessarily want a huge team, just realize that you don't have to be like everybody else. I'm always going against the grain in every way, anyways. I mean, I remember in high school, I used to be that kid who the teacher would be teaching something and I had to be, but can I ask a question about that? That doesn't make sense to me. And so I want to know more than, what a teacher was willing to share. And so I've always wanted to kind of understand things in and out, and do things my own way. Slightly rebellious, slightly strong-willed, but not in a destructive way. And that served me well. It served me well because
yeah,
when others are running towards something, I'm usually the one running in the opposite direction because I
right.
know that's the direction meant for me.
Mm. I love that. Your confidence has always come through. Do you feel like that has that confidence been a part of your life from forever, or is it something you've developed over time with being in the space, the career, the life that you feel like you were destined to be in? Is it chicken or the egg?
I think I developed confidence because I did not have it all this time.
Mm,
It's within the last several years that I really realized that, okay, love me, hate me, I'm just gonna be who I am. So that confidence came, and of course, when you are putting in the work and then you finally start seeing the rewards and you realize, oh my goodness, there's something to this. I'm doing this the right way. I'm doing this the way I'm supposed to do it. So it fuels you to keep going. So the confidence comes from there as well.
that's awesome. I love that. I love that so much. Now, it's funny because you also mentioned a few moments ago that you developed your signature style because you didn't want to take and field the calls if somebody wanted, modern farmhouse chic or whatever that gets called, right? Don't mind me not knowing all the terms. Um, so is it the signature style for you? Is it because part of that feeling of destiny of being an interior designer is being at free will to design the kind of design. Like I know that there's designers that are like, I'll design your style, right? That's a totally legitimate pursuit. But is it just that the extra added joy comes from being able to do the type of signature style that you like? Is that why it's there?
Yes, there is a delicate balance between because I believe I'm here also to serve my clients and I want to serve them well and I want to honor what they want. And people hire me sometimes not necessarily for all the color and patterns and things like that. They will just want, a fairly neutral room, but there's just something about execution. There's something about that little extra that that resonates with them and they want that. So it may not necessarily be my signature per se. So that's what I want to communicate to the world, that yes, I love to do the color, I love to do all the patterns and all that, but what I really want you to appreciate about my work is more of the way I execute it and where you can kind of see my signature woven into it. And from the very beginning, I wanted that to be, well, not from the beginning, because I used to say the same thing, that I can design whatever you want, and, take myself out of the equation. But I had to get to a place where I realized that, but they want me. There's millions of other designers in this world that a client can choose, and they chose me. So there has to be something special that they want. So I'm going to bring that. And that
Mm.
comes in the way of how I, what I create for them. And so that's when I developed this aesthetic, and I started doing it for myself to really prove to my clients that I can do it. And so
Mm.
people started trusting me with this. So yes, I think it's an important element, because not only does it bring you the clients that really want to work with you because they have that appreciation, it really it makes things a lot easier for you. You're not going outside of the resources that you've set up for yourself, and to make it the most profitable you can be. So it's just a win-win for me to really step into this signature aesthetic that clients pursue me for.
I love it. I love it. And I love that, there's a nuance in there. What you're saying
Mhm.
is it's not like you're going to design regardless of their wishes and their desires and their aesthetics, right?
Right.
It's not like, hey, my signature style, slap it on your house, right?
Right.
So I love it. But there is the thread of who you are. And what you're saying is, you are honoring your client's choice to reach out to you by having that thread show up in the work.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
You said it
Yeah.
so well. Wow. No wonder you do this for a living.
Put it on a coaster, V. Put it on a coaster.
That I will do.
But that made sense to me. That's why it resonated when you said it. It's like, yes, oh, that's right. I did reach out to you because I was attracted to this, but I love that you're still gonna ask me what I like, right? And I'm just
Mhm.
gonna get that zing of Veronica in there. That little,
Right.
yeah, I love that. That's so good. All right, now you run a very big Facebook group, my friend,
Mhm.
and it is a very active Facebook group, and lots of amazing designers in this group. Talk to me about, if I were to say to you, what do you feel like are the one or two things that come to mind that just always come up? Whether, like you're just like, okay, there's that question again, there's that struggle again, there's that challenge again. What are some of the things that come to mind? And then, obviously I'm going to ask you your advice on them.
So one of the things I see come up a lot is, well, clients are not respecting my time, and clients are going crazy on me, or they're wanting to see 50 million choices, and it's like not getting a good grasp of what clients need. So I see that come up quite a bit in the group, and sometimes I see the crowdsourcing for things that sometimes I'm like, okay, let's learn to kind of build some of our own resources so we can go there first. So
Mm.
so yeah, I try to preach it out a little bit, because I really understand that client relation without clients we don't have a business, and so we have to get to a point where we know this back and front, we like the back of our hands. We have to know how to deal with our clients. We have to know how to read personalities. We have to know how to set up those processes and those systems where clients feel like they're so well taken care of, they're never going to question anything, and they're going to just trust you, and you're going to deliver everything that you promised. And so that's where I want to see everybody get to, because it's possible. Yes, there are some crazy clients every once in a while that come along, but for the most part, if you do things in a certain way, clients will just kind of let you do what you do.
Mm. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why we've always gotten along really well, because I feel the same way. I feel like probably 80% of the time that there is a quote unquote situation with a client who quote unquote is not respecting their time, or not respecting their choices, or not respecting whatever boundary it is, that you can wind that back up to
Mhm.
probably how they started the project and their behavior and their actions up to that point on the part of
Mhm.
the designer, is what I mean. And
Mhm.
you believe that as well, right?
Yes, I do. I do. I do.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of cases, if someone just steps back and say, okay, how did I play a role in this? How did it get to this point? And there are times, and we know this as human beings here, we make mistakes, or the clients
Mhm.
are just crazy clients, like I said. But most of the times, there is something that we did or didn't do that really, created this problem or made this problem even bigger than it needed to be. And if we can just acknowledge that and learn from that and know not to do
Mhm.
that next time, or build a system around that or a process around that to ensure, or put a clause in your contract. I do that every single time. Okay, this clause is going to my contract because this is never happening again. So,
Right.
so it's not to say that you can't learn from some of these bad things. That's why we grow in business, is because we understand that every new project that comes along is an opportunity to learn. So yes, it's always something that you can always look back and say, what role did I play in this, and how can I
Mhm.
make sure that this never happens again?
Yeah, I mean, I always say on the show, wind it back to where you could have made a different outcome, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's the step before it. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
dropped the big ball there.
yeah,
Sometimes it's 5 steps before, right?
yeah.
But
hmm
it really it's the most productive way to handle it for me,
hmm
because what I get so um I don't know how you and Claire and Cheryl and all the people that run Facebook groups really do it a lot of times, because my brain is just like, no, this, you cannot just go off the deep end railing about this. You have to look
hmm
in the mirror and figure out how you can change it. And the reason that I get, internally charged by it is because I absolutely know that whatever the designer is processing it this way is bound to repeat it. You see?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
That's the
yes.
thing. If we don't
hmm
do what you're talking about, which is step back and look at it, you're going to be in the same situation again 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, because you
Exactly.
haven't made the adjustment on your part, right?
Correct, correct. One of the things that I remember saying to myself, verbally saying to myself in business, is I will never complain about a client, no matter how bad it gets, no matter
Mm.
what they do. I'm not going to complain about them, not to anyone, not to myself, because I realized that as soon as I start complaining and start finding all the negatives about that client, all of a sudden it magnifies in my brain. And the minute it magnifies in my brain and gets bigger and bigger, I start seeing the client in this light, and then it informs all my actions after that. So I
Yes.
don't want that to happen. I want to still honor, because at the end of the day, I have every respect for the fact that somebody gave me a whole bunch of money, and they could have given that money to somebody else, right? And so for me, I'm just like, I'm always going to try to honor a client up until the point where they maybe like do something that is so unforgivable, which nothing like that has ever happened ever to me in 18 years. But I try to honor the fact that, okay, are they hurting for some reason? Maybe there's something that we're not communicating properly. I'm not giving them something that they expected from me. And so, yes, we wind it back and try to figure that out. But the minute I start complaining, I start like harboring all kinds of negative feelings towards this client. And I don't think they deserve that sometimes, because, again, they chose me and I have to honor that.
No, I agree. And it's funny because when you do have a team, um, what happens is I had a situation several years ago where one person on our window works team was very easy to complain about the customers, the clients and the customers. So we have both. We have one-off customers and we have long-term clients.
Mhm,
And the thing was that I finally at one point sat down with this particular employee and I said, "Here's the thing. I know your personality. I know that you don't mean 1/5 of the things that you're saying, that it's just how you blow off steam. It's just how you process things. But, you're affecting the others on the
mhm,
team that haven't had the lengthy interactions with the particular customer or client that you are doing this about. And now an installer is going to walk in with a bad taste in their mouth and be
right.
prepared to not like this person,
hmm
when you're going to have a conversation with them tomorrow and get along fabulously because you don't really mean half of what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can just get on the complain train, right? And just
Mm.
do it for habit. And so for you to make a conscious promise to yourself is so killer. I love that. You know who would love that, Veronica? is my cousin
Who?
Eileen. My cousin
Oh yeah.
Eileen. Yeah. She's like, Lou, what is the culture at WindowWorks? How do we speak about our clients? How do we think about them? How do we, you know what I mean? I'm like, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
We have a
yeah,
good culture. We're not settling for this.
yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is, when I see complaining about clients going on in the group, sometimes I have to like stop and say, you know what? If people only realize that luxury clients, when if you're trying, because I mean that's all over everybody, every designer I know, their goal is to get those big high end clients, big dollars, and the funny thing about that is the high dollar clients are usually a little bit more demanding. And
Yeah.
so when they're a little bit more demanding, that's when you're more prone to complaining about, how their
Hmm.
demands, I guess.
Hmm.
So that's something that I had to, peel away a long time ago and realize that I'm trying to serve a clientele that's going to demand more of me. And that's why my brand grew into, okay, you get Veronica. That's a part of what I present to my clients as,
Mm.
okay, you come to my firm, then I'm going to be involved in every aspect. Well, not every aspect, but most of your project. So,
Right.
and clients, they want that. So, I tried definitely not to complain and see that as something negative. Instead, I just charge them for for those
Exactly.
demands.
This is that's the thing. And by the way, that's what the consumer is fine with.
Yeah.
Like, you know me. I've said it 1,000 times on the show. When I go out to hire a professional, if you do your job and you do it well and you anticipate my needs and you get everything A plus right, I'm happy to give you my dollar bills.
Yeah.
It's when you drop the balls, you don't come to the table prepared, you don't do the things properly, you lie to me. That's a big
Yeah.
one. You make up stuff and then you get pissy. Well, you
Yeah.
see, we're going to have a problem.
I agree. I agree.
Right? I mean, come on. So, I mean, and the thing is, we're not all always perfect.
Mhm.
So, whether it's us delivering our services to our clients or it's we're the consumer on the other end, but that integrity piece is strong. I mean, I just
Yeah.
had a conversation today with a WindowWorks client. We legit dropped the ball, like legit. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this particular job. We didn't drop the ball. We actually never picked it up so we could drop it. like, like that's what it was. And it was interesting because she actually, because I don't know if people don't think I'm like for real or not, but this, is someone who came to us because they listened to the podcast. And after we went through the whole thing, and I just said, I just got to tell you, this is what happened. I don't have an answer for why or how, but at least I figured it out and I've wound it all the way back to where and what employee it connected to. And the only thing I can do is I can say, I'm picking the ball up now and I'm going to bring it across the finish line.
Mhm.
And what was interesting at some point in the conversation, the designer just said to me, well, I'm really glad that you didn't lie to me. And it was so crazy because I'm thinking at that point, oh, maybe she's not a podcast designer. And she
Mhm.
goes, because I listened to your show and if you had, it wouldn't have made sense. And I was like, well, if you listen to my show, I'm going to come and have a hard conversation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I see you doing in your group. And I know that you lead your company the same way. It's like, this is what I did. It went great. This is what I did. It didn't go good. Let's just have a conversation about it and let's move on. Let me solve it and get going. Right? We're not
Yeah.
having a drama party about it.
Exactly. And really, if you think about it, that's all people want. They just want to know that you've acknowledged something went wrong and
Mhm.
now you're taking on the responsibility of solving it and we can move on to something else.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. Most reasonable people want this.
Yeah. And so now to switch gears a little bit, it's funny because way back in the beginning when we started talking a few moments ago, you mentioned when you said that, it was your choice to stay small and
Mhm.
mighty, right? You didn't
Mhm.
want 15 employees and all the things. But, I didn't pull it out and I wanted to. One of the things that you said that you did as a result of that conscious decision was that you built in processes. You said something about building in things so like the website would do work for you. What I heard was you built in strong process and system.
Mhm.
And I can, I don't remember what the technology was, but I kind of feel like you were like one of the first people I knew that was taking, like, clients could make appointments through your website and pay
Mhm.
you through your website for the appointment. And you said something about, I woke up this morning and I had 2 consultations booked. And I was like, that that level of technology 7 years ago was like, is she a magician?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, for me, I was like, wait, you what?
Oh, yeah.
It's
And
crazy,
yep.
right?
And it served me well to this day. It's still the case. I still have my booking on my website. And, I've had designers push back on that. And, their feedback is, well, you're not a luxury designer if you allow people to book on your website. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not. Okay. Because that is a game changer for me. We still get phone calls every once in a while, but there's no client that, finds us on social media through Instagram or anything, jumps on our website and even bothers to call, because they've gotten all the information that they could possibly want. They read the FAQs, they read the processes page, they go to the services page, it's all outlined for them. And then there's a big, beautiful book now button at the top, and they just click it, schedule that appointment, and magically I appear on a phone call with them in a week or 2 weeks or however long it is. So
Right.
it works like, and then the automations that power that as well it makes you look so professional in my mind.
Yes.
And so I just love that. I don't think I'm ever getting rid of that.
No, I agree with you. So you're still in that call going to make your assessment whether or not you will move forward with the project. This is a discovery call, right?
Correct.
Or
Yes.
right,
Mhm,
right,
mhm.
right. And then if I'm correct, if you do decide to take the client on, then they go into a different automation where they pay for their consultations, their different things, right? For your first visit, or have you changed that process?
So every once in a while, I'll have someone just go straight to the consultation and book and pay for that. And
Oh,
so
that's
this is
what I'm
somebody
remembering.
so that's somebody I've never spoken to, and they found us, read all they needed to, and book the consultation. When I see that come through, I will schedule a discovery call prior to
Prior.
going on that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Or I'll
And
just
then if
kind of,
you
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and if
sorry.
you
Go ahead.
feel like, "No, no, no, it's fine," but, like, then if you like, "Oh, this is a completely non-fit," you'll just refund the money. You just say, you both
Right.
know it and you just refund it.
Yeah. But here's the weird thing. Believe it or not, Luann, I find that I don't know what the percentage is, but I find that I want to say a good 95% of clients who reach out to us, they're our clients.
They're
There's
ready to
hardly,
go.
yeah, they're ready to go. There's not any issues with, okay, the budget's not matching, the expectation is not matching. There's hardly that situation. I don't know if it's just what we're putting out there and they understand this. And again, I write a lot of blog posts, and I have a lot of blog posts from years back that talk about our processes, that talk about budgets and things like that. People come already with a great understanding of what to expect from us. And it's just for me now to confirm everything. So there's hardly a situation where I say to a client, I don't think this is going to work out. So, I'm going to have to refund you your money. So it's just so funny to me that and I wish I could say I had this all planned out from the beginning. Some of it was all planned out, but a lot of it was just like a happy accident. Okay, so I'm just going to build my website, say what I need to say on it, talk about what I want to talk about, and magically it's just doing all of these extra
Yeah.
things that I could not have predicted.
Wow.
So that's what I find to be the situation is most of our clients come ready to work with us.
You know what I think too is it's really in what you're describing, that so you have so much and such good clear information on your website about the type of work that you do, the way you're going to handle the project, and like you said, there's all the blog posts that can get your philosophy on billing and all the things. And you know how many designer websites I look at in a year. You know this,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I've had almost 900 interviews, so there's definitely 900 websites I've looked at. Okay. Um, and the thing is, what's interesting to me is, and this just happened in the last week or 2 weeks, somebody, and the thing is, you can't guess who you are. Like, I'm going to say somebody who recently pitched, but you could have pitched a month ago, because I look at the pitches once a month. Like, so they
Hmm.
come in, the team gathers from me, and once a month I sit down and I read them all, and I go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, maybe is what I do. Right. And it's crazy. I'm still finding websites without the designer's picture, on
Mhm.
it, without the designer's name on
Mhm.
it,
Yep.
without a point of view expressed, as you know, and I'm thinking to myself, and it breaks my heart because I'm just like, if I were to ever come across you, the portfolio is beautiful. I say it all the
Mhm.
time. I've never seen a portfolio that wasn't pretty. Come on,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know how to design. They're all pretty. Okay. I mean, that's your client. Their client is
Yeah.
calling you because they need your help. So they're all pretty. Now, there's aesthetics that you align with, of course, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is, I'm just like, it's 2023. How do you have a website that doesn't have your name and your picture on it? And it
Yep.
also, I want to tell you, it didn't have the state they were located. I'm like, when that happened in 7 years ago, that was not unusual. But I'm like, wait, the podcast, you listen to the podcast, and you have not made this change? Because how can, to your point, your potential consumer can learn so much about you that they've decided that they align and fit with you, that you're not turning away tons of people. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying if you turn away a lot of people, you're inept or something, but there's a difference between what you're able to accomplish is really have someone feel like they get to know you, and I'm sorry, I'm not even present on my own website.
I mean,
Right.
I see because Courtney is the one that does all of the admitting people into our Facebook group now, and
Your
she
daughter,
mentions
yeah,
that, yes, yeah, and she
yeah.
mentions that every once in a while, that I cannot believe there is no picture of this person, or I don't even know the name, or how do I even
Right,
know that they connect with this company?
yeah.
And I don't know if you saw it, because I know you're not super active in the group as much, but I posted something along this line about my website in the group a couple days ago,
Oh, I
because
didn't see it.
yeah, so you didn't even see that. So I
No.
just felt compelled to, because I was getting calls from people all over the world. This one lady called me. She's in DC or something like that, and she's telling me that she was trying to hire another designer, and he was just so he was just nasty to her, I guess. And she
Mm.
started searching and somehow came across my website, and I had my process outlined on there, and she just had
Mhm.
to call me. She wasn't going to hire me. She just had to call me to tell me that. I'm like, okay,
Wow.
thank you. And then I started to do I did a little study not too long ago about, like, let's see what pages people are going to my website and how they're responding to it and how they're navigating it. And people are going to my FAQs page, which is so
Mm.
shocking to me, that before they go to the portfolio page, they're going to FAQs, they go into the processes, and the about me page. So it tells me that
Yes.
people want to learn about who they're trying to hire. That's kind of what's more important to them. Yes, the work is obviously important to them, but they want to understand who they're about to give a lot of cash to. So it's so important. In your picture, mine is on the front page, because I'm the brand, I'm the person,
Yes.
I'm telling my clients, you're hiring Veronica, and so here's me, here are some of my accolades, that you can see that I've accomplished a few things. So you won't have any problems paying my fees because of this. So
Right,
it's, to me, it's just something that you have to build that foundation if you want to really get the clients that really truly values who you are.
yeah. I agree. It's I just can't imagine someone thinking that an about page that is we this and at our firm that and we this, and there's no who the we is and
Hmm.
what the we, where the we lives. And like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. It's like, I'm not going to call that company. I'm not going to
Hmm.
fill out that contact form because I have no idea what I'm getting into.
Hmm.
And the thing of it is, years ago, if 8 designers didn't have it done well and 2 did, well, everybody's still gonna get some business, but now if you're the two that are not doing it well, you're not going to get the business
Hmm.
because there's enough people like you that are putting out their about page and their FAQ page. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And
Right.
I say that to people all the time. The pretty isn't what's important. I'm telling
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
everybody doesn't they don't believe me, but it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You know? I
Me too.
mean,
They don't believe me half the time too.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it doesn't negate the talent at all. I mean, it's absurd and obnoxious and crazy
Mhm.
what you guys are capable of doing. But that's the thing. We can find 500 interior designer websites that the work is is beautiful to some person somewhere. Everybody's going to find something that's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
what is the next thing that makes me call you, right?
Right. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, so the whole thing of doing your system and process, do you work off of Asana, Basecamp, Trello? Like, it's a lot. Like, what your actual team now is you and Courtney. What is the actual
Joshua.
and Joshua too?
And
Oh,
Joshua.
for crying out loud! I love it. What
I
is
know.
what is he doing? So Courtney manages the Facebook group. What else does she do?
Oh, she's like the operations queen. She runs all of
Oh,
so I get everything up to the point of placing all the orders for all the products, and then she picks it up from there. So she does all the tracking, checking
oh.
in, making sure everything is where it needs to be through to her installations. Joshua does our drafting. So he is, yes, he does drafting. So when he said, I want to join the company, I'm like, are you sure? And he's like,
Wow.
yes. And he's been here over a year.
Oh my good. Veronica, what an incredible honor that is of the
Yeah.
type of mother that you are and business person that you are, that you have two really wonderful kids that both choose to work with you. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, thank you. Yes. And they
Yeah.
really, I mean, they see some side of me sometimes where I'm like demanding and it needs to get done this way. And which is why I know that anybody else would just have quit. But they get it because they know it's really for them at the end of the day.
Yeah,
But
well, and
they've,
they've been raised in your standards as
yeah,
humans, and so
yes,
now those standards are just in the business as well. They get it.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can imagine they've probably always known from very young age that you have certain expectations of them as humans, and so now those expectations just transfer as employees.
That's correct.
Right? But because
Yes.
you did the good hard work in raising them as good humans, they probably show up 90% of the time as good employees.
They do.
Right?
And then I
Right?
tell them, no nepotism here. You're gonna do the work, and so they
Right.
know the work has to get done. So,
Oh my goodness, that's a riot. I love that. So these are you have outside people that you have different vendors and trades, but these are your
Mhm.
two quote unquote employees.
Right. So I have, my go-to rendering person that does like the big renderings for
Okay.
big construction type projects, and then of course I have, my showrooms that I can call them up and say, okay, I need to pull some marbles and this and that, and they can kind of help me along those lines. So yes, I keep like a team that supports the smaller team, and
Mm,
so we kind of just work together to get these projects knocked out and get clients what they need.
I love it. I love it. That's really something else. That's a real compliment to you. So,
Thanks.
all righty. So, before I let you go, my friend, is there anything that is on your mind that you'd love to share from your experience, an aha moment, a lesson, or a tidbit for somebody that's coming up behind, you on their journey and they're looking ahead? And, one of the things I noticed that you said you didn't feel like you always had the confidence. And so I
Hmm.
think that that's going to be surprising to a lot
Hmm.
of people. I didn't expect that answer. I expected, no, I already know. I already know who I was. Now I just had to marry the design side to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's an interesting, thing I think, Veronica, it's very helpful for people who look up to people like you who are leaders in the industry and that really do run a tight ship and are vocal and helpful to other designers about it, for them to understand it wasn't like, hey, like this from the beginning. So
Hmm.
is there anything else that comes to mind that you'd like to say or share?
For me, it was very important for me to get to a point where I understood that I was running a business, and
Mm,
that profitability was a huge part of that discovery that, okay, yes, I feel like this is what I'm called to do. I feel this is something that I'm meant to be doing, but at the end of the day, is it showing up in the bank account? So I had to really approach it from that perspective and start, really leaning into sales and leaning into understanding clients and how they responded to things, and not just giving them what they're asking for, but showing up as the designer and saying to them, but you can't just do this kitchen and the dining room is right next door and you don't do that as well. So you have to know how to upsell a client in a way where it makes sense for them, not just trying to sell them something, but where you're really fulfilling a desire of or a dream of theirs. And so all of those little things I had to really understand that it's a part of doing business, and it's really honestly honoring what I'm meant to be doing, like really showing up for
Mm,
the clients and getting them what they want. Sometimes they don't even know that they really want it or need it until you, as a designer, the expert in the room, speaks up. So that's one thing that I would share with anyone listening who don't feel that they have the confidence. They have to just realize it's a business, and you're not a salesperson per se, but you're really showing up for your clients and getting them the perfect design that they really, really want. And then the next thing I'd say is just be your own PR person. I mean, I people still think that I have a PR machine behind me because of
mm.
all the press that I get. And I'm like, I wouldn't even know what to say to a PR person. So, and I'm sure I'd figure it out. But I just had to like show up and put my work out there. I jokingly say to people sometimes, you have to have a healthy dose of ego in this industry. So as much as I don't have the confidence, sometimes I have to have a little bit of ego to really think that I'm all that, to put my work out there. And
Mm.
so it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of pitching, or showcasing your work and highlighting what makes it so special. And you'll see that somebody out there will respond to it, and I want you to do the same for them. So yeah, so those are a couple things that I'd say were my big moments of like, realization, building this business all these years.
I love that because, that aha moment of, oh, I'm meant to do this, but I have to make money or I'm not going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Because that, from coaching designers all these years that that is sometimes a stumbling block. Hello, there'd be
Mhm.
no podcast. I just like, duh. I went to myself, okay, would I have a podcast if that wasn't a stumbling block, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it can't just be that you love to do it and you're born to do it. You have to address the business side. And we always say
Mhm,
it's like 80% of it is the business side, right?
mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
20% is the fun, creative side. And
yeah.
even the creative side has a discipline to it that is more business like than creative, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To
Yes.
your point about the sourcing, you can't just like, hey, where do you get this? It's like, no, you're creative. You're needing to know what kind of lamp, where you get it, and do some actual work on the other side of building your resources out, right? Even a
Mhm.
simple tip like that.
Yeah. And I mean, keep a database of stuff. That's another thing that I see in the group sometime where, we share resources, and we happily do that. I love to see designers supporting other designers, but I don't know that there are many people who keep a database of things. I use a software called Zoho Connect, where I store all of this information that I can access it later. So if somebody shares something in the group that, oh, that's a great resource, I don't need it right now. But if I'm looking for lamps, I just can type lamp into my little search field, and up pops, vendors that carry lamps. So when you start like building out that database, all of a sudden you have all these resources, and you can probably sell your company for, some, good money
Mm,
later on, because you've like put all of these things in place and you're building over time. Your SOPs, for example, I don't know that a lot of people do that, but as we work on projects or as we work on certain things, we're building out, okay, this is how you do this thing. So if somebody, even though I don't have a ton of employees, I'm projecting that at some point I'm going to be like, okay, I'm ready to chill now. I'm going to bring in
yes.
I'm going to bring in some people for this. So I want to have something that they can just go to without me having to be super involved in every aspect of it. So just things like that, like look toward the future, I think is a great point.
Well, and what I love about that is it definitely serves the future, but
Hmm.
it also tightens up the present,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It really tightens up the present when you establish the way you do things, you document the way you do things, and then whether it's you and two other people or you and eight people or it's just
Mhm.
you at the very least, you know that you've got a solid process that you can
Mhm.
execute on the promise to your clients. But like the payoff could be that you would either hire somebody to oversee your business and just collect a paycheck,
Mhm.
or you could sell your business, to your
Right.
point. I love it.
Exactly.
I love
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
So good, ladies. So good. So, are you still wanting new members in your Facebook group? Because I think people are going to want to get in.
Yes, yes. So it's called What They Don't Teach You in Design School. And
Mhm.
yes, it might take us a little bit to get everybody in because it's, we get so many requests. Poor little Courtney is overwhelmed. But yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, I just thank you so much for being here. I love every time we have an opportunity to have a chat, and it was long overdue to have our second chat on the podcast. So thanks, Veronica. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Veronica is the real deal. Am I right? I've known Veronica for many years, and I have seen how she interacts through her Facebook group, in person, with her mentoring programs. But even as much as I felt like I knew V, some things took me by surprise today. First of all, that she's an introvert. The term can easily be confused with being quiet or shy, and I think I have to always remind myself of that, because Veronica isn't quiet or shy. She puts herself out there. But I'm learning that being an introvert can also mean being introspective, using your imagination to solve problems, and this aspect of being self aware. Veronica is keenly aware. And as I said earlier, this is one of her superpowers. She looks at herself squarely in the mirror and she sees her strengths and she sees her weaknesses, right? This is what we have to do. If we see our strengths, we can maximize them. If we see our gaps, we can mitigate them. And this is exactly what Veronica did early in her business, knowing that she didn't want to have a team because of this introverted quality. She had to think about, what was I going to do? How was I going to build this big business if I really didn't want to have people in my face every day, right? And so she very smartly realized she needed a good foundation of systems and processes so that she could manage her time, her finances, and her creativity, right? Now, in episode 830, Ann Gilliard got into this topic as well, talking about knowing yourself. So if you're struggling in this area, maybe listen to Ann's show, because hearing other perspectives on the topic maybe spark an aha moment for you. All right. Another thing that surprised me was that Veronica said she developed confidence over the years, that it wasn't something she felt like she had, but something that she developed over time. Maybe this resonates with you, right? Maybe you haven't grown up fully into your confidence yet, but look at V. Be patient. Learn more about yourself and what you stand for, and listen, and it will come. Veronica is proof of this, because I know Veronica, and I know she is confident now, and she is at the top of her game. I've only ever known her this way, right? She acknowledged that it takes a healthy dose of ego and that it does come with time. You have to keep showing up and keep being the expert, right? This doesn't happen by accident. Veronica knows that she can lead with confidence because she is highly organized and she has those systems in place. She streamlines every chance she gets with her website, her database of resources, her detailed SOPs. Systems create confidence. I mean, hello, we've said that a billion times here, right? So, all right. Now, if you want to hear more on this topic, I suggest that you listen to episode 488 with Michelle Wilcox. This is another angle into what it takes to develop your chops in this industry. It takes experience. It takes knowing yourself. It takes organization. It's all these things, right? One more takeaway that I don't want to gloss over here is personalizing your website. As Veronica said, people don't just see her work, as lovely and as amazing as it is, and start throwing money at her. That would be fantastic, but it doesn't usually happen that way for any of us, right? Potential clients do want to see who you are, though. You, personally you. Not just your work, that's important, but you. And I just did an interview with Vita. You know Vita from our WTF shows here, but she is a regular fixture on my Window Treatment for Profit podcast. And we just did an episode about relationship marketing. Okay, it actually aired. If you're listening to this in real time, it aired yesterday. But we'll put the link in the show notes. It talks about how we as window treatment people are trying to develop relationships with you as designers, but substitute window treatment for designer and substitute designer for, tradesperson or client or anything, right? The point is, it starts there on the website. People will find you online, offline, all the different ways, but they will go to your website and confirm all the things that they learned. And you want it to line up and you want it to be who you really are. All right. Now, Ebony Looney also dug into what makes a great website in episode 819. So there are lots of takeaways from that show. I recommend you listen to that if you need some information on the website, okay? And then also you can go back through the archives at LuAnnNiagara.com and search Fred Burns. Fred was on the show in the first 2 or 3 years so often before he retired. I miss Fred so much. But he is a design business master, and he offered so much advice over the years. He started on the show episode 22. I think he was on it 9 times, okay? But there's lots of shows by Fred Burns that help you tap into your only words so that you can set yourself apart in the industry, okay? Veronica's bio says that she believes each space should tell the story of the people who live there. And yes, that is true for a home, but the same goes for your website. It should tell the story of you. All right. So visit Veronica's website at veronicasolomon.com to see how she introduces herself and her services. All right. You can also find her blog there. You can join her Facebook community. You can shop her collections. You can look into the mentoring programs that she does, all the things. On Facebook, her private group is called What They Don't Teach You in Design School. Highly recommend you join this group. This is an active mentoring community for you, interior designers. Veronica isn't only a talented lady, but she is also one of the original #smart ladies, and that is the truth. So thank you, V, so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us again. I do appreciate it. And I just want to one more comment. Veronica believes that she was predestined to be a designer. What an incredible feeling, right? Please sit in that for a moment. Is it also true for you? And it's okay if it isn't, all right? Or if you're not sure. There's always room for ambition and purpose. But to Veronica's point, if we know ourselves and we live as genuinely and authentically as possible, it's always easier to follow our heart when we hear it calling. All right? Thanks again, V. Love you, lady. And thank you for tuning in. I hope that Veronica inspired you to take some time to look inward, to become more self-aware, and to see how what you do makes a difference and how you can apply that in making a difference in the way you run your business. Thanks for listening. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNiagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.